Okay, welcome to the February 13th pre-Valentine's Day public meeting for the planning board. First, we'll introduce ourselves. I'm Gabriel Whitney.
Jim Williams.
Jerry Mitchell.
And that is a quorum. So, any amendments to the agenda? No?
I'm good.
All right, then our first application tonight is the solar farm from Stantec. How you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Doing well, thank you. Do you want to go ahead and...
Sure, yeah. We came and spoke to you folks back in the middle of December and talked about this project in the first instance, just to get located.
Sorry, before you begin, can you just introduce yourself for the record?
Sure, thank you very much. Just launched into it. I'm Brooke Barnes. I'm with Stantec Consulting over in Topsom.
I'm Jeff Martin from Norwich Solar on Ledyard Junction, Vermont.
So Norwich Solar is the developer of this project, and location-wise, you can see in this inset here, it's north of Route 1. The high school's right about there, so it's up on that ridge up above the high school off Kings Highway. That's just to get you located. It's 975 kilowatts in size. It's about 6 acres inside where the fence is going to be. The total amount of area that's going to be disturbed to build it is about 14 acres. It'll be about 4 months to build once it's under construction. The power will be generated within the panels. It'll go to inverters to switch from DC to AC current, and then go to a transformer to get to be the right voltage, and then go down a transmission line and connect with a central main power transmission line at Kings Highway. It's a small part of a larger parcel. It's 50 acres is the large parcel. This is the urban development district here where this is located. The panels themselves are about 12 feet off the, well, 3 feet off the ground on the low end, 12 feet off the ground on the upper end. These are fixed panels. Some panels will rotate with the sun. These panels will be fixed, and that's what you see most of by the side of the road. And the ones that are going up are usually the fixed panels like this. The power will be underground on the site within the fence line, and then it'll go up and be on poles down to connect to CMP. Vegetation will be cleared on the side so the sun isn't blocked as it goes through the sky during the day. There will be a 7-foot fence all the way around just for safety. There's a turnaround up here when you get up to it so that for emergency vehicles, there'll be an opportunity to pull up, or maintenance vehicles to pull up and turn around up there. The solar projects, once they're set, once they're built, you don't need to visit them that much. They're monitored remotely, 24/7, and if something goes wrong, triggers an alarm, and someone gets up there and checks it, but for the most part, they just sit there and operate. That's about it. Anything you want to add?
Jeff, that covers the basics.
The basics, yeah. Questions? Happy to answer any questions.
So the entire solar farm is all east towards Bath of the power line, the existing power line?
That's right.
The transmission line?
Yeah, there's a central main power, a transmission line, which is the high voltage line that runs this way. This product is low voltage, so it's just connecting into the sort of roadside poles that you see.
And at the last meeting, stand up for this, question came up, or a comment came up that CMP was going to be expanding this transmission corridor by 20 feet or something like that. That has already happened, so this site plan shows the conditions as it is currently with that expansion included.
So, okay. So that expansion they've done is just to cut more right away, or did they build new poles, or what did they do, do you know?
I don't know. they certainly have a wider right of way.
But you talked to somebody at the power company and they said it's all done?
It's completed.
Okay.
Yeah, I can answer that.
Okay. If you're going to speak, can you please just identify yourself for the record?
My name's John. I own,
We're gonna have a chance for the public to talk, but I think we need to keep the meeting organized, if you don't mind.
Yep.
We might call on you for a question.
I was just gonna answer your question about the poles.
That's okay. Let's get all the data out on the table, and then we'll take questions. That's just to keep it organized.
Okay. that seems-
So did you, Jerry, do you have any questions?
No, I'm good.
What does the ordinance say on the height of the fence? You said 7 feet? Is what you're
It's
proposing?
an 8 foot. That's right.
Let's say,
8 feet.
okay, so I thought you said 7 foot fence.
I may have said 7, let me just double check.
Because somewhere in our ordinance, it does say something about, yeah, an 8 foot high security fence. It's on page 59. It's item 4B 8, I guess. Number 8.
Yes, and that's in our application. It's one of the criteria for your large solar energy system, and it is 8 foot, I misspoke.
Okay, okay. So talk a little bit about access here. You're gonna come in the Kings Highway, but,
That's correct,
and you're showing where you're gonna build the road,
yes.
but, so talk about what you're gonna build for a road and width and all that.
Sure, it's
Gravel and,
the travel service will be 14 feet. It's a sort of a logging road at this point, running up this way. This is where Kings Highway diverges and heads off on its old path. So this will be new construction from here to here, and it'll be following the path of Kings Highway up to here. As I said, the permanent road will be 14 feet wide. It'll be widened up here in this hammerhead to allow for turning traffic access.
so from the point in the lower right-hand corner towards Bath, what is there for a road right now?
There's a wood yard, and Mr. Engelhardt can probably describe it better, but there's,
I'm not gonna say anything.
when the time
Somebody
comes.
I'm sorry.
There's a wood yard that covers about that much of the road right now, and then it's a woods road that continues on up the hill.
So is that a public right, is that a public road up until where you were starting?
It's a public road to here,
Okay,
Discontinued.
and this is a discontinued public road.
so over whose property do you cross with your access?
Engelhardt, and we have a right-of-way easement in the application now.
Okay. Actually, I saw it, but I don't, it's missing the page. It's the description, it said, you know, see attachment A, and I didn't see it in there, at least in my copy.
Sure, I'll take a look. I don't believe there was an attachment to that road easement.
So what's shown is the option to purchase the easement.
Okay,
So that's what we have in place at this point is an option. So we wouldn't actually execute an easement until we have a project. Just the detail point.
And that's at the,
okay.
So there are, the exhibits are the exhibit is the actual easement itself, which is not in place, it's just the option at this point.
I'm on the first page under the option, and in the paragraph 1, it says, an option to purchase an easement which is attached here to is Exhibit 1, or Exhibit I. So I didn't see that Exhibit I in the folder, is it there?
no, it's not.
Okay, so that's something we need.
But the easement area is depicted on the plans, you'll see the
Okay.
dashed lines, and that's the 50-foot easement.
Okay. The pole line from the end of the public way to your site is, are you gonna own that?
Yes, so
Okay.
everything up to the point of interconnection.
So,
So
right,
what-
all of this.
What's the voltage gonna be on that line?
So that is, so I did talk to our engineers
Yeah.
about this. And so, as I was suggesting at the last meeting, we don't know until CMP completes their interconnection studies. They're gonna tell us what that voltage needs to be. Because
Okay.
we're connecting to their distribution system, so
Okay.
we have to meet their requirements.
Okay, good answer, okay.
But it was a fun conversation.
Yeah. So, I saw your exhibit about the signs on the site, that's good. Do you have remote communication with the site?
Yes, all the equipment's monitored remotely.
Is that wirelessly, or is that gonna be, will you need a line on the pole line?
I believe it's wirelessly.
Okay.
So that's all part of our operation and maintenance plan.
Sure.
So yeah, if there are any faults, that would notify us remotely. And then we have sort of like a tiered response based on
Right.
the urgency of the fault.
Okay.
Now, this, Carly, last time we met, this was for, like, we didn't do any type of approval last time we met.
Correct, that was the pre-application workshop.
So this would just be a pre,
So, previously, we have done preliminary and final approval, which has been determined not to be the correct procedure. That's only for subdivisions. So there's only the one final approval.
I got you.
The ordinance does say that you can opt to hold a public hearing, which I did not ask if you wanted to hold. So if you decide that there's enough public comment or you'd like to hold a public hearing, you could table the matter to allow for a public hearing.
Okay.
All of the neighbors were notified of the meeting by certified letter, and I can confirm that they all received them, and there are a good amount here.
Somebody came to the last meeting and said they were not
Right.
notified, but are they here, do you know?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you receive the certified letter?
Thank you. So, I don't have any other questions right now.
Not right now?
I'm good, Gabe, I don't have anything right now.
So, can you ask for public comment?
Yeah. Do we have some public comment?
I got a few questions.
Yeah, just stand and say your name for the record.
I'm John Jones. I live at 57 Tunnel Lane. I'm your closest structure. Nice to meet you. I haven't met you guys yet in person. I was reading over your application and I had a few questions. Basically went over the residential zone and where you're putting the solar panels. What's the actual acreage that you own that's in the urban development zone?
19.4 acres in the urban development zone.
19.4. I wrote these things down before I came in here. Hold on a second. In the urban development zone, I'm losing track of my notes, I'm sorry. I'm not a good public speaker. Is it clear the CMP corridor line, it's the urban development zone, the actual line is the east side of the CMP right of way,
Right.
the actual line.
Yep, it's on the map here, the distinction between the urban development zone and the rural residential is this red line here.
Yes.
And you can see it follows the east line of that CMP corridor.
So in the town's section, on page 34, section C, business, commercial, and non-residential use standards. Number 3, section B, urban development park shall not exceed 60% of the lot maximum. And you have to have a buffer from that line.
Can I ask you just what that reference was again? It's on page 34.
Yeah,
C, what was it?
Page 34, section C,
Yeah,
business, commercial, and non-residential use standards.
yeah.
And it's under section B.
So is
It's
that
urban development park zone, actual lot coverage.
3B, okay. Okay, thank you.
And it describes that you have to have a 30-foot setback or a 50-foot setback, depending on what the town approves, from that line. You guys have that?
I can maybe address that. The actual setback is 35.
35?
Yeah, because the ones you talked about that are in there
Yeah.
is only if the project is more than the 60%, occupies more than 60%, then it can ask for a reduced setback, and you're not asking for a reduced setback here. The project occupies, I didn't do an exact calculation, but just using the fence line, and for lot coverage, you only look at structures, you don't look at open areas. So if you just look at the fence line, which is over-inclusive, it's only about 30% of that 19 acres. So there's no need to ask for an exception for lot coverage. And it does meet the 35-foot setback from the property line.
Okay, because I was wondering on your application on page 12, I read through this, it pretty much goes to section C, business, commercial, and non-residential use standards. Now, if you read the lot coverage that you guys filled out, everybody see where I'm at?
Yep.
It says, per business, commercial, and non-residential use requirements detailed in West East Land Use Ordinance, Article 3C3, structures shall not exceed 60% of the lot coverage in the URL development zone. The total fenced area of the project is 5.42 acres, and the project parcel is approximately 50 acres, which is 10.76. I was wondering, how can you use a non-residential, the whole 50 acres as part of your formula to figure out a commercial area?
The way that the language is drafted in the ordinance for lot coverage, it says lot. It doesn't say part of the lot that's in X district, it just says lot. So that's why we calculated it based on the entirety of the lot, which is this whole 50 acres. This part's in residential, this part's in urban development. So that's how you get to the 10 point whatever it was acres. But even if you say, okay, no, you should only calculate it based on what's in the urban development area, this here, it's 30%, and 60% is the standard, so it still meets the standards.
Okay, because everything I read here, you keep on including the whole 50 acres, which is not commercial, it's not
Right,
urban development.
and again, the ordinance doesn't require it to be. The ordinance says it's the coverage of the lot. And the lot is defined as the parcel, and that's the whole parcel. And so it doesn't break it down by district. But again, even if you did decide to break it down by district,
Yeah.
it still meets the 60% standard.
It's something that it probably should specify, but it doesn't, so. It's accepted the way it is in the book.
Jonathan, do you have any thoughts on the project? Everything look good to you?
Yeah, I mean, my review of it, Jim, I have not seen any issues with the layout of it or the road. I don't have any problems with that.
Is there anybody else that'd like to
One
speak?
quick one, what is the setback from the lot that's just to the north of that? Is that your 35 feet?
I'm sorry, sir, can you,
Bill Lehman, sorry?
From up here, Bill?
Yes.
It's 50 feet to the cleared area here. This is the clearing line.
From the property line?
There's the property line there, and so it would be 50 feet is this dashed line right here, and then it's probably another 20 feet to the panels.
Okay, thanks. Which one of them? How many panels are there altogether?
Well,
A lot.
yeah, over 3,000, I believe it's in,
That's
yeah, it all,
rough estimate, 3,000.
roughly, it'll depend on the exact type of equipment that's used.
Okay.
Any more public comment?
Actually, I kind of got another one.
Yes, sir?
We're all in a road association together. You guys gonna be breaking a Vanderworth Road Association covenant, which is a legal document with a shared road by doing this. And I was just wondering, what are your plans to make amends with the road association, the people that live in that neighborhood?
What's the road that's being used? What's the road association? What road?
The covenant, it's a legal document written by a lawyer.
Connected to your lot.
It's connected to your
which-
lot, and I gave you,
Which road?
Vanderwerf, Road and the, Tonal Lane.
So those aren't being used by the project?
Yes,
Still
but
your
it's
lot.
still specific, says you can only build one house and one
There's not a
garage.
house being built on the lot?
But it's pretty specific what you can do with a lot.
So, one, the road that you're talking about isn't being used by this project, and two, there's not a house being built on the property.
Okay,
So I'm not sure.
well, the covenant, I know the town doesn't have nothing to do with it. But the covenant itself says all common access roads, including roads and easements and rights that create in the future, are explicitly declared to be subject to this declaration and instrument recorded in the Saginaw Registry of Deeds.
And that's,
So it doesn't matter if you put a road in or not, you still, when you bought the property, this was attached to your lot.
and it's not a common access road? It's an access road for this project.
Yes,
So that
but
wouldn't apply.
the land itself is tied to this deed. No, it doesn't matter about the access road.
Well, it does, that's what the covenant says, is if there's a common access road. So for example, if this tonal lane was going to be extended to serve this property, then I think you're accurate. But because it's not, and this is a different entrance that only serves the property, it's not for common use, it's just for the use of the property, that wouldn't apply.
Okay.
Mr. Jones, why don't I give you my card after the meeting too, and we can.
Yeah,
we can
sure.
be in touch.
No, I just wanna make sure everything, I don't wanna, be,
Yeah.
everything on legit, compared to what you, last proposal I saw was kinda, nerve wracking.
Yeah, and I think, John, originally the project was gonna come in from that direction.
Yeah,
And I think that raised a lot of concerns, and to Norwich's credit, they listened. And changed it up so that they're not coming through this residential area and instead are coming down by the industrial park down here and coming in this way, so that it's not part of the neighborhood.
Have you met with the town road commissioner?
We haven't yet met with the town road commissioner, but that's something that we would do as we get closer to the construction,
Okay.
as well as pull a building permit.
All right. Any more public comment?
What about the buffer zone? It doesn't look.
Could you just identify
Oh,
yourself?
Christie,
It's
Christie
okay,
DeLong, sorry.
no problem.
It doesn't look like there's any buffer along the fence, looks like it runs right along that
The power
CMP
line.
line, yeah. Doesn't look like there's a buffer between that line and then there's a fence, but there's supposed to be trees or vegetation there, I believe, to buffer from the other property.
It's in the CMP
Yeah,
easement.
from your power to whoever lives or owns next to you.
Well, the only buffer requirement here, which is along here, I think you're talking about, is for this property here from the city of Bath, and that's a 35-foot setback required.
That's the power line though, that is a residential area.
Don't,
It's under the residential zone, so don't you have to be back 35 behind the power line?
The panels are 35.
Your
That's
fence
the
is supposed to
setback.
be. So.
I don't think this, John, maybe you can help me, I don't think a fence counts when you're looking at setback.
We don't have a
Doesn't-
setback requirement for fences.
Right, so that's
Not
why,
for a commercial project.
that's why the fence
Not for
is where it is.
So, we need to decide.
The only thing that we talked about last time a little bit, right, like if you look in the ordinance in two spots, it talks about all the power going to and from the solar park is supposed to be underground. And I know you guys we talked about that last time.
Right.
So like if you look at, on page 59, 4A7, all on-site utility transmission lines extending to and from the solar energy system shall be placed underground unless the applicant demonstrates good cause to the planning board to waive that requirement. And then also B3, all on-site utility and transmission lines. And I know you guys had said that the lines within the field, but I think that the intent of that is to have the lines coming to and from the farm.
Where was that first part you read?
On page 59.
Yeah, but I see B3, Roman numeral
4A7. 7.
okay, that's for small energy systems,
So
right?
small.
I believe the requirement's the same for large. The language is the same.
So which Roman numeral? Oh, I see. So I don't see that, I see the second one, Jerry, you're talking about where under B, Roman numeral 3, and it says, all on-site utility and transmission lines shall be placed underground.
Yeah.
But
Is
where was the first part?
Maybe the first one was up above the first B, Jim, above that B, all on-site utility,
So it's
Four-
A, subsection
4A.
7.
4A7. But that is for the small scale,
Okay,
that's for the small scale. So I think the same thing is for the B, like you said,
well, there is an option also built in there for the planning board to waive that requirement.
right.
And,
And I'll just say, we did discuss this back in December, and I thought there had been a decision, and that's why it still reflects the overhead. Once you leave the site being what's inside the fence, is overhead. If you determine that no, the entirety of the site, so that, and I'd be careful about this, because if you have any other electrical or solar project, they might have a longer transmission line, and if you require that it all be buried, that may be a problem for the project. In this case, I'd suggest overhead makes sense, because if we have to go underground, we're gonna have a lot more wetland impact. If we have to trench it and expand basically the impact area to get an underground line in, then wetland impacts will increase.
And
it's my understanding too, Jerry, that we did decide that.
I remember
it could
that,
go
yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the person you got the easement from is the person, John Engelhardt, right? Like, he would be the one that would be impacted. So that's you, so you don't care. Okay.
I would prefer it was over, because if in the future, if they have a line going across the property and somebody else did want to build in that zone, that the power would be in place. I would very much prefer it, and,
Unless it's 3 phase, right?
well, depending on,
Yeah.
what anybody might do in the future, and to put, that is solid ledge from start to finish, the cost of blasting that would be astronomical. And like he said, it would be more impact.
And I think the big thing is that you're the landowner that's getting impacted, I think, for the
Yeah.
most part, nobody else can probably see it, right?
Right.
So,
Right, I would prefer it was above ground, I think, for the future and for their own expense, you know, I don't know how much
yeah.
blasting half a mile is gonna cost, but I bet it would be pretty pricey.
Do you wanna make a motion to waive that, just for the record?
No, we got another statement back. Go ahead.
Zach Vanderwerf, Sandy Brook Road. Just a quick question, because I'm not sure. That land that's west of the panels heading to the back of John's property, what is, I know you guys aren't really, you're not using it, but what's the future plan for that? Is there anything gonna be going on with
We
like
don't have any,
expansion or anything like that?
no, we don't have any future plans for it, and, I think that was part of the, initial application, that was part of the issue, is that it's not in an appropriately zoned.
Right, and I was just
location.
following up on that and making sure, 'cause, okay.
He wants to get you on the record, Jeff. Zach, this is you. That's you, and there's Sandy Brook Road.
Yep,
And you were asking about, well, what about all the rest of this land that you own, that these guys own?
Yep, no, I just didn't know that, I think it says Vermont on it, or whatever the name.
And NT land, that's our.
Yeah, that's your, okay, I was just curious if any of that was being touched or what. Okay.
What land do you own there?
It's this irregular shape that goes all the way sort of around like that. That's the 50 acres that's owned.
Okay.
I'm right in the middle.
Yeah, there's John, and there's Zach.
Now, that's the water
There's
district, or is that him? That's him?
Yeah, the water district's right here.
So I got another question to get back to your application where you say 50 acres and you're figuring out your math for the urban development zone. To me, that doesn't seem right because what's to say you come back and say, well, the town agreed to this, so the whole lot is now in the urban development zone? Because all your math figuring, it says it's supposed to be for commercial urban development zone itself, not the residential property.
Well, the town would have to go through a zoning process to change the zone for this residential zone.
Yes.
It doesn't have anything to do with this project and its location in the urban development zone, because as I said, this project doesn't need any other additional acreage to be counted. It's okay as it is in the urban development zone when it comes to the lot
Yeah.
coverage requirement.
But in all your paperwork, it's stated 50 acres as being inside the urban development zone.
No, it doesn't say that. It says the lot size is 50 acres.
John, if you go through the definitions of the zones, like it
Yeah.
defines them really well.
I
So
just
like
saw
those
a
are,
future, where they said, wow,
Yeah.
now we got, okay,
Yeah.
now the whole lot's considered urban
No,
development
it
zone.
would have to be rezoned.
no, it's all laid out really, like which lots are in it basically and all that. So I don't think that's possible.
And it's also on this plan.
Yeah, you have to go through a public hearing, probably.
There'd have to be a
town
series of public meetings and a town meeting to make that change.
Any other public comment? No? All right, so I guess we do,
So when you sent out these letters, you sent out to all your abutters, you sent out a letter out to all
The
the
town
abutters?
sends those out, yep.
Okay. So it would seem redundant to have a public hearing perhaps. I mean, I think all the questions have been answered and
yes, sir?
Damien Ryan, Evan, I just bought a piece of property there that abuts it, so I didn't get any letter if there's a copy of it, just so I have knowledge, like what I've just heard, I've kind of learned and understand what's going on, but if I can get a copy of that, so that
when did you buy the property?
I
mean, like 2 months?
yeah, November, I closed.
Okay, so probably they sent it to the former owner.
Yeah,
So,
sure.
that happens. That's too bad. So where is your property?
Tonal Lane, 13 Tonal Lane.
And which, do you want to come up and point to it, just so we get an idea?
through our list here.
Should kind of leave
Family, or Sandy Brook Road, there's Lane,
Yeah, I think
there's John's house.
I'm right here.
Did you?
Yeah,
Yeah, next to Bob Berry, right?
yeah, right next to Bob Berry.
Did you receive a notice?
What's that?
Did you receive a notice of the meeting?
No. No, he just bought it in October, so he went to the former owner, because they probably used the tax records. But Kylie, when you publish the notice of this meeting, do you include the two applicants, whoever the applicants are?
Yes, that gets
Okay.
published the Friday before in the newspaper.
Okay. So there was a public notice that this solar array project was,
Yeah, we weren't notified the prior meetings at all, and we're in the center of it,
okay.
so that's why I'm concerned about notification was, because,
But you did get a letter
yeah, we got
about
a,
tonight's
We got
meeting?
one for this one.
we
Okay.
got letters from the school when they're doing the school zoning and stuff, and all of a sudden this came out, and we weren't notified at all, the prior meeting.
So, okay. So, would you like to share your knowledge about the power line? I mean, you did pique my curiosity.
The power line expansion was, the line that was through there was 35 feet wide. By federal statute, it has to be 50 feet wide. So they added a few feet on either side, and that was completed about 3 years ago. They were in there this winter and changed a bunch of poles and stuff, not related to that, just routine maintenance on the line.
So the going from 35 to 50 then was just a clearing? that they did?
They actually didn't do any more clearing, they
Okay.
just needed a 50-foot right-of-way
Oh,
by
okay.
statute. So
Okay.
they had to contact every landowner, and they offered you like $2 to sign off, and said, if you don't sign off, then we'll see you in court. So, take your $2 and, you know,
Okay.
and we can dictate everything you do on that property for 50 years, so. But that's all it was, is just to meet the federal statute on weights of power lines, because that line has been there for like 100 years, so it didn't meet
Okay.
the current standards.
So any more public questions, comments? So, we have two questions then, perhaps,
We have the,
issue of a public hearing,
yeah,
and
then
if we want to
the
include the,
comment I said, or the thing you brought up that wasn't in the
Exhibit I.
exhibit I,
okay.
is that what you're referring to? No, it's in their application,
Okay,
they referenced.
oh, okay.
Purchasing it.
Or leave an option.
A figure, it would have been a figure from the third. As part of the
Say
easement
that
option.
again?
It was, the easement option references an exhibit
Oh.
I,
Okay.
which wasn't in here.
I believe Exhibit I is your map,
Oh,
is what,
okay.
it wasn't my paperwork,
Okay.
because we had several discussions about where it was gonna go and how it was gonna go, you know.
Well, that's something he can include, they can include in there.
But it was-
You know,
it was
we
your
make a
map.
condition of approval that they would provide that.
Yeah,
Code law.
And as I
Make his
noticed,
file complete.
it is on the plan itself, that 50-foot easement does show on the plan.
Yes.
all right. Yes, sir.
I got another question there is, watched the video of the last meeting, and they talked about, forester, or having a forester come in and look at the forestry. I'm not sure exactly, I don't know much about forestry, I guess the next door neighbor there that cuts all the wood knows all about the forestry, but, they wanted to avoid, they didn't have to, I don't know, I have to read through it, it's a lot of paperwork. The Maine State Forestry says they have to go and inspect the land or whatever.
Yeah, in order to, before you cut, before any of us do a timber harvest on any of our property, we have to file a FONS, an FONS, a Forest Operations Notification. So that's something that'll be filed before they start to clear the property, it's just a filing.
Okay. So I know you guys are talking, saying that it was already cut, and there's still quite a bit of large tree growth on it.
Yeah, yeah, that's why we'll file that notification.
Okay.
Anybody else? Public comment? No? So I guess the next thing is figuring out if there's a need for a public hearing, which, seems like most everybody's here. Does anyone feel the need that there should be a public hearing? Okay, so I think that answers that.
So I'll make a motion that we read the public requirement for a public hearing.
A second, all in favor? With requirement for public hearing. And then I think the only contingency is, well, I mean, if that's exhibit I, but, is making the application complete.
Could we talk about I think we voted on it before, but I think perhaps we should just confirm that from the site to the, the aerial pole line from the site to the existing, the connection to the central main power can be aerial.
So, yeah, make a motion to waive that requirement.
Yeah. So, second?
Sure. So all in favor of waiving the requirement of, section 4, requiring buried lines? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right.
Okay.
I got another quick question, I don't know, Mr. Bean probably has already gone through it. On fires, we had a fire up there in the woods at one time, a few years back, and it was a real pain in the ass to get anybody up there. I take backpacks through my property to put the fire out. It's forest fires by lightning. And it was a real problem for them to get back there. I understand you got a road and a fire road and it's gonna be going through, but is there gonna be a fire, what do you call it, an access to water for them to, for fire trucks to pump fire hydrant or something up there?
So we've actually included as part of our application an emergency management plan. And so that is a part of our application already, and something that we've offered in the past on other projects is to meet with local fire departments after the array's been constructed, to go through the system, look at the different components, talk about an emergency plan, so that if anything ever were to happen, that the fire department has that training and that awareness, and something that they can fall back on, is that training that we can provide, if that's something that the local fire department is interested in.
Is there a fire suppression system on the solar panels or in there at all? Because if they caught fire, it could, my house could be gone within, pretty quick. I just wonder what kind of protections there is.
Right, so you wouldn't typically want to use, if it was an electrical fire, you wouldn't want to use water on that fire.
Yeah.
So those are the types of training that our operations team could provide as part of the, once the system's installed to the local fire department.
But there's no on-site fire suppression system.
If there was a fault though, there are fuses and so forth that could trip and
Correct.
relays or whatever.
That's right.
Correct?
You can also disconnect the system. There's this AC disconnect pedestal here, and then also the point of interconnection. There would be another called a GO app switch that you could manually shut off the power so that you're not sending power out into the distribution system. But also, as we've talked about, everything is remotely monitored, so we get notification of any faults.
Okay.
If you guys can be like blasting ledge up there or whatever, what kind of protection do I have if damage is done to the foundation of my house?
There's
'Cause
really.
I know my insurance company won't cover it.
There's really minimal grading work that's required. We work with the lay of the land, topography of the land.
And if there did need to be blasting up there, there'd have to be a blasting plan provided to the town, and everyone would get notification. And any analysis of your residence, your well, your structure, or anything, that'd be done at that time. But right now, there's not any blasting anticipated.
Yeah, one more quick question, Laura. Sorry to take so long, but
No,
they're
don't be
popping in my
sorry.
head.
Ask away.
When I built the school, the new high school, the construction, I didn't think nothing about it, and I understood, and I do type of construction, I've been in construction my whole life and everything. And, I know I heard something, you guys don't really have a noise ordinance or nothing, but when they were building that school, they had backup alarms 24 hours a day. I mean, I couldn't even sleep. All I hear is beep, 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 all night, all day. I mean, what are your hours of working? Are you gonna be working through, I work night shift, but I need to sleep sometime. I mean, I don't know, I was wondering what your comments are on that, or?
I don't know if we included it in the application, a schedule, but typically, no, we're not gonna be working at night.
I think you do say in here somewhere, it's normal, like,
Normal business hours.
yeah, normal business hours.
Well, I work night shift and I sleep in the morning, so that's why I was wondering, kinda, I hear beeping all day at work, so I kinda.
Berkeley took out 750,000 yards of ledge at the school too, I don't think that this
It's
is.
a little bit.
Yeah, that was quite a
Smaller
lot of
scale.
that. That was another thing, noise from the transformers or the stations that you guys they do generate noise.
Yeah, there's an analysis in the application itself. There are two things that generate noise. One are the inverters, and that's what takes the direct current from the panels and inverts it to alternating current to kind of run these lights. And they're string inverters, and they're spread throughout here. And then the other sound source is a transformer, which is down here on this pad. And in the application, there's an analysis that demonstrates that it meets the sound requirements of both the DEP and the town. And one thing to bear in mind, that those things only make noise during the daytime, which doesn't help you much if you're sleeping in the morning. But they're at the property boundary, it's much lower than any of the requirements, which are 45 decibels is the requirement.
So, in the future with that, it's a steady humming noise. I've got a little bit of experience on electrical. In the future, if there is a problem with the sound, I mean, who knows, something changes later on, and I hear this steady humming noise, is there a way to address that? I mean, there's many different ways of taking care of sound.
Yeah, and the thing to do would be to report it to Norwich and the code enforcement officer, and then they could do an evaluation and see what's going on, if it was above the standards or see what was happening.
So theoretically, I shouldn't hear nothing.
You shouldn't, I think you're about 700 or 800 feet from the project, and it's
24 dBA is what that sound analysis found.
And so that's
Yeah, that doesn't mean nothing to me.
you can't hear it. It's below a whisper.
Right.
At 24 dBA. A library is 45 or so, something like that.
But I can still hear a library though.
Well, again, it depends who's talking. So, and it's logarithmic, so each time it goes down, it sort of doubles in how much it goes down. So these are very quiet.
So.
Good.
All right,
So shall I make a motion?
Sure.
Okay, so I move that we accept it as presented with the stipulation that they will provide a copy of that easement. And that's all.
Okay, I'll second it.
All right, all in favor? Aye.
Okay. Okay, you're approved.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, and thank you for bringing a lot of data. This is very, very good.
Thank you. It makes it
Really
easier to
understand what's
understand.
happening, yeah.
Oh, yeah, no, the road would be.
Yeah, up Sandy Brook.
Congratulations for taking up your time and space here. Quick question.
Just jump on research.
John, right.
Wait, this way is.
Anything about, you know, that.
Jonathan, do you have a copy of one of these? Do you have a? Okay. Does that make sense? Ask me a question.
In today's world.
It's good work.
Okay, we're gonna keep going on the meeting. Thank you.
Welcome, how you doing?
Good, how are you? I'm Julie Larry from Black Mountain.
Suzanne.
All right, I'll sit back up.
Cause trouble.
Take care.
Okay. See you.
Thank you.
I'll reach out to you.
These seats are so uncomfortable.
I can't remember you were here last time. Chad Hebert with Black Diamond. We got Black Diamond.
Yeah, and, you know, I wasn't against it.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is?
This is the site development listing of Agawam County. You're from, sorry.
Black Diamond Consultants, both this forward, so I can see.
All right, if you want to introduce yourself to the camera, you can go ahead and pick it up.
So I'm Julie Larry, representing Black Diamond Consultants. We're here to talk about a proposed 180-foot telecommunications facility for Saginaw County. It's located just off State Route 1. Our access will be from the former rest area. We do have a DOT permit that gives us permission to access that roadway. Since I think we were here last spring for our pre-application meeting, and since that point in time, we have adjusted the location of the tower slightly due east to accommodate the proposed the solar facility that has a lease on part of this parcel as well. And we have also, as you'll see on the site plan, we have maintained the required setbacks from the property lines, as well as from a significant vernal pool, which is located just to the northeast of the site, which you could sort of see from Route 1 as you're kind of driving past the old west area. You can see that depressed wet area just off to the right there.
Do you have any full-size plans?
They were submitted, but required.
Do we have any of
There's
the,
some extras in the,
I have the 11 by 17, but
They do, Jim, they're just maybe,
I just can't make out, you know, because
Yeah, we definitely submitted full-size.
yeah, that's not that they did.
yeah, I'm sorry, John,
No,
I
that's
for
okay.
that, but, okay. So you do have an agent, you have a letter of agent authorization, I see, in the file. So
Yes.
thank you. And you are Megan McGuire?
No, I'm actually Julie Larry.
Okay. And Jim Hebert?
Chad Heber. Different people, same company.
Okay. Okay. So, go ahead.
The other thing that we talked with you about the last time that we were here was there was a requirement for, you had a maximum height requirement of 150 for telecommunications towers.
Yes.
And then that went to, and that ordinance was changed to allow emergency communication towers to be above that height. So that was a waiver that we were originally asking for, and so we don't need that waiver anymore.
Very good.
Do you have any questions for me? It's a small,
well,
small lease area,
I was
so there's not a lot to
Well,
talk
we
about.
talked about before the fall zone,
Yes,
and so is that,
yep,
Is
so
that
this,
what I'm
that's the
looking at?
circular area here on the map, so we have the fall zone within, it's not within our immediate lease, but it is within our lease exhibit, that is a fall zone, and therefore no build zone. Which, in discussions with the solar company, they wouldn't anticipate building in that, within that fall zone anyways.
okay. And I see in here there's some plans, and there's a list of a list of names. Are those people that are abutters or?
We submitted a butter list to you, yes.
Okay. Have they been notified?
yes, they have.
Okay, great, oh my God. We can roll. I just wanted to look at the, it shows the site in the, what page would that be on this plan?
So this is S1.
Great.
You probably
My
want to
fault
look
for not having that, I'm sorry.
Oh, thank you, great.
at, you probably want to look at S1, which would be the site plan, or C1, which would have a little bit more about the road.
So let's see one.
Thank you, John. Yeah.
You said S1?
Yes. Should be the first one after the cover. There you go. There's your fall zone right on that one.
So we had a gentleman from the public here before, and he stated how the towers are designed to collapse upon themselves. And I can just imagine if that tower was loaded with ice and it was blowing 70 miles an hour, it would collapse on itself. Is that a correct assumption?
It would not fall like a tree. It would collapse on itself. So it would break like halfway down and just fold on itself. It would not fall like a tree.
Okay.
Like the foundation's not gonna come out of the ground and it wouldn't be like a root coming out.
If the foundation failed, it would. That's
No,
the
it
only.
would still, so the weakest point is the tower itself.
Okay.
So that would be the
Okay.
breaking point.
Okay. So the fenced area,
So the fenced area is A 75 by 75, oh no, 50 by 50, sorry, on this one.
So show me where the,
So this is the red, this red dot, red lines is the 100 by 100 east area, and then the 50 by 50 in kind of the southeast corner of that is the fenced-in area.
okay. So this brown shown on here, is that where the roadway is gonna be built?
That's the road coming in.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the dash line is where the fence is gonna be? Is that? And then this dash line shown on here, was that?
Yes, that dash line there is our fence line.
Okay.
Whoops.
Okay.
And this is only for the dispatch radio, right?
EMS,
You know,
emergency.
Yeah,
So
every
it's on
police,
power.
fire, every police, fire, EMS agency within Saginaw County will utilize this tower as well as our backup dispatch center, Brunswick Police and Fire,
Okay.
to address their needs. There will be an option on this tower, but we have no interest as of yet to lease space to anybody else, whether that's public safety or anybody else.
Commercial tenants?
It's built all the same way, so obviously everything would have to be subject to approval, but
It would all have to come back for you guys to
Okay.
approve a
Ultimately-
building permit, but the tower will be designed to hold other
And that-
barriers.
yeah.
So you don't design a tower just to hold one thing, that way another tower has to be built right next to it. So
Okay.
you over design the tower so it can handle future tenants or whatever the future may be. But
Future needs.
they would definitely have to come back to you guys for a building permit or.
So the county could lease out space to a cell company or to
Right.
radio?
The tower will be designed for that as an option.
So, but you were limited to commercial business because of the height.
Right.
Our ordinance said you had, so did you drop that down? And I'll be frank and honest, I'm here, you know, I sit on the select board. We are not charging you for the lease. I
To
don't.
be clear,
To be,
Suzanne is here as a private
As a
citizen,
private
cannot
citizen.
represent the select board. She is not here as a representative
I do know
for the
there's
select board.
monetary
But-
figures being discussed in these.
There are, but the tower as it stood in its original format, and I am here as a public person, not as a select board, but we talked about this at the other meeting, is that you couldn't, it was only for emergency services. And then dropping it down, I'm concerned that, the current lease, as it sits today, does not accommodate or give a benefit to the town of West Bath for you to have commercial access to an area that we are not receiving any revenue from. So I want to.
So my concern about that is we should only focus on, we're putting a tower up for EMS. It will be designed to expand, but that has nothing to do with this application.
Well, it couldn't in the
Right,
current
exactly,
height.
exactly.
So I just want, when you reduce the height, you opened up opportunities that were not perhaps in the initial lease.
Yeah, and I mean, we're not here for the lease.
No,
or
I'm
anything
not
like
talking,
that,
just,
so,
I'm
yeah.
not,
Absolutely.
there's no negotiation, I just wanna clarify, you know, when I hear you changing a requirement that's an ordinance.
Well, we're not changing a requirement.
Our
What we're saying
ordinance
is-
had a limitation that if you went above a certain height, it was only for emergency use.
Yeah, and that's fine.
That's the
That's fine.
plan we currently have.
Yeah, but it will be, I mean, they
I
may wanna
understand,
put
you're
more
gonna
antennas
build-
up, they may wanna put more antennas
public
on.
safety equipment, we're just
Yeah.
building it.
Or just
Safety
so
equipment
robust,
is
yeah.
a completely different animal than
Yeah,
a
yeah, I completely
AT&T.
agree.
Yeah. So there's no
I have a question.
There's no dealings with an AT&T or US Cellular or anything right now, so it's just EMS.
So the town, if they wished, they could, Suzanne, this is for you, a question for you. They could write the lease such that if it was to be used commercially, then there'd be some revenue coming to the town, right? I mean, that could be written
In
out.
theory, as a component to that, which is one of the reasons why I came tonight, I wanted to hear what this was gonna be discussed. When they were,
Oh, I just thought you wanted to see us.
I've seen you, I see you every time I come, but this is very particular to what I was concerned about. I just wanna make sure that the town has its interests covered from a financial perspective.
Good.
I mean, that's really how I look at this, is a.
No, that's very good, yeah.
And I'd just point out that on the current mounting arrangement, from 115 feet up to the current height is all emergency management stuff. So anything, if something commercial were to come along, it would be below even that 150.
I'm all for supporting Saginaw County 100%.
Yeah.
But not at a losing financial benefit to our town.
Correct.
Is how I look at it.
And my ultimate goal, and I think it's been all our ultimate goals from the start, is, again, the lease agreements and the nuts and bolts of that are being handled by the county administrator and the town administrator and attorneys. My number one goal is public safety within Saginaw County.
100%.
So, however,
But
I
I wasn't
do
concerned about
understand.
it when we had a special caveat
Right.
at the 180 feet, we were covered, that it wasn't a supplemental engagement for a revenue stream, that when we're not making revenue on it, we should at least share in the revenue if there's revenue to be made on it.
And that's not in the lease, I'm taking, not that it matters for this meeting, but I'm just curious.
Well, the leases, I believe that's gonna be on Thursday's
Oh, okay.
select board meeting.
Okay.
Because that has been, but by hearing this change, it makes me more concerned on, we've now changed this.
What change?
The height,
Oh, no.
that,
So I have a question for the.
but I'm all for the county, I'm not against the county at all, because I think it's important.
So, this is, with the antenna on top of the tower, it's gonna be almost 200, right? It's gonna be 199 or.
198, something like that.
198. So if, my understanding then is the tower's not gonna be lighted.
Anything under 200 doesn't have to be lit.
It doesn't have to be lit. Are there circumstances where, local pilots have had requests?
No, we go through the FAA, already got the approvals and everything, so this will be a
Okay.
non-lit tower.
Okay.
When do you break ground for your access road?
We don't have a permit. We're a lease, so.
Yeah.
But I would imagine the tower is probably 12 weeks to be ordered. And in 12 weeks, I would imagine they want to have the site ready, so I would imagine they want to start in the next 6 to 8 weeks.
All of these proposed, all this technology, all of that is above 150.
115?
115.
115.
Right here, you see, there's not.
Oh, okay, I got you.
So, at what height does a traditional AT&T antenna go up at?
One higher than 115.
190.
I'm just curious,
Yeah.
I'm trying to make sure I do what's right for the town.
115 would be really low.
They wouldn't even go on that. So typical towers that you drive down the road and see, most of those that aren't lit are all 190-foot towers, and the antennas are right at the very top, and they're at 196. So half the antennas above, half the antennas below. The ones that are lit are typically 250, and those are much bigger, but, so they want to be as high as they can to cover the most area. And they are different frequencies than EMS, so
So you're saying nothing above 115 would ever, never, ever be commercial?
You'd have to, I mean, they would have to move this equipment, and that would be between.
Not gonna happen.
Okay.
County and
No,
town.
I'm just.
But I mean, and that's the first thing that people are going to lease space, it's gonna be to an AT&T or Verizon. But there's so many other things like, we could do radio clubs throughout the county and just something to not say we're gonna make a fortune off this, but it's just in there because planning this, you overbuild something and eventually you're
I get it.
gonna find a use for it.
I
Yeah.
totally get it,
Mhm.
but.
yeah, you just want to make sure the town.
Right.
Well,
Yeah.
100%,
Absolutely.
that's my responsibility.
Okay, so, Mr. Chairman.
Sorry, I didn't.
We need to decide on a public hearing.
I was gonna review that, so yeah, just like the last one, you will have to decide on a public hearing. This project, as mentioned, is going to require a town lease, which will mean that it will go before the town to be voted on for the lease. So, That's one of the conditions I've proposed. If, should you choose to approve the project, is that it would be conditional to the town approving the lease at the town meeting.
What, is it, did the solar farm have to go to town meeting?
The solar farm already did go to town meeting.
They did go to town meeting.
Well, we changed,
It's for the, it's not the actual project, it's the area being leased by the town.
That one to town meeting.
Right. Yeah, that was included in the 2021 budget town meeting.
Okay.
so does our ordinance require us to have a public hearing?
It does, but the planning board can choose to waive that.
There are no abutting neighbors to this other than
And
us.
you've already sent out a message to all,
Correct.
a letter to all the abutters.
Correct.
And the fact that it's only emergency and there's no other entities acting on it, I don't know that there would be a need for it.
Who are the abutting neighbors? Isn't it the,
Steve Reno.
Yeah, I think there's one guy.
in the transfer station, which is us?
Well, because it's that large area, I'm getting confused with
Good
Crooker.
parcel.
It'd be Steve Reno.
So we need to vote if we're gonna leave it.
Right.
It's mostly the town and then the Perry's own up there as well. Auburn Concrete, and butter.
Do they own there or do they lease?
They have a piece of property up there.
Yep, there's the list.
Who is that?
Letters of interest.
Auburn
What page is
Concrete.
that on?
That is page 16 of the application, 16 of 130.
Perfect, thank you.
What page is it?
16.
16, 16, yep.
Did you say Thursday's the?
This Thursday?
Yeah, they're just setting the date for the special town meeting. They
That's
will
not
be
the actual
reviewing
town,
the
that's not
lease.
the actual town.
No. Town meeting will require
I think
2
it was
weeks' notice.
May 19th, wasn't it? That was the official.
That's the annual town meeting. This would be a special town meeting.
And none of these abutters have contacted the town at all?
No.
All right,
And I didn't have any contact last time they were before the board either.
okay. Well, I think that, and you propose we waive the public hearing, including the fact that there needs to be a town vote. And at that
Correct.
time,
So anyone could ask questions at that time as well.
okay. Yeah, that sounds good to me.
So what's the, so May, when's the town meeting?
Well,
May
Chris-
21st or something?
No, that's the annual town meeting. This would go before a special town meeting, which,
Why, I mean, May 21st isn't soon enough.
We have a couple of items potentially on Main.
Oh, okay.
We have the comp plan, so there's other
Oh,
things
okay.
that may fall into the same.
well, we're trying to get this project
Yeah.
moving.
The sooner the better.
Right,
So
because
this
it's
brings-
emergency services.
So would you like a motion? So I'll make a motion to approve it presented,
People have never.
and, I'll make a motion that we waive the public hearing requirement. Let's vote
Second,
on that.
all in favor of waiving the public hearing?
Okay. And then I make a motion that we accept as presented. Do we make conditions?
Yeah, with the opportunity for, at the town meeting, I guess, opportunity for the public vote being a time where someone could object, I guess.
Right, the
Or-
condition
or-
should be that the
Condition.
lease is approved by the town.
Okay.
Right, yeah.
So with the condition that the lease is approved by the town?
At a town meeting.
At the town meeting.
So that looks good then? I've got it typed in already.
So I'm gonna second that.
Okay.
All in favor that this be conditionally approved, as long as the lease is approved at the town meeting? All right.
Good luck.
Congratulations. Thank you. Approval. It's been a long road, hasn't it, at this point?
You have no, and
Wow.
this one's been one of the easier ones.
Really?
Yeah.
You with me asking questions?
You can ask as many questions as you
I
want.
gotta do what's diligent on behalf of the town, that's my responsibility.
Jonathan, I assume that you're okay with all this. I've got to ask you. Well, okay.
And I'm gonna
Took
see
10
you
minutes
guys
too long as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
Hey, you're on the agenda.
Just kidding.
Yes.
I'm in favor.
Hey, you guys are on the agenda.
For Thursday?
It says,
I think,
Saginaw County Commission Tower lease and amendment to the Meadows Solar Park lease.
yep, Mike, you gonna be here Thursday, or is that just the town thing in Amber? For the
Yeah, I
lease?
think
or-
Amber's
Is it actual?
We're reviewing the lease at Thursday's meeting.
Yeah, you're on the agenda.
I could read it, well, I just didn't get it down.
If you.
6 o'clock?
5:30.
5:30.
Here.
Do you holler if you
Okay.
want anybody to be there? I think Amber's probably gonna be here, but.
Yeah, Amber Christina's in.
Well, let us know if you need us.
Because the solar company attorney is saying this person
Oh,
short
thank
the same time.
Thank you.
We've had several meetings, so if,
Say, I kept you
Amber wants to be here, I'll be here. Can't remember what that's
Is that bachelor? Is that an bachelor?
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys, appreciate it. Have a good night, thank you.
All right.
I'm waiting for the chief.
See you, Mike.
Any public information or comment?
Okay.
You good? All right, other business, set the date for the West Bath parking application review.
Yeah, so I snuck this in as I emailed you guys. We're getting the peer review back from Goral Palmer. It's included in your packet. Looks like this. It's at the very end of it. It's a little reading material to send you home with. The planning board attorney has suggested dates of either Tuesday the 20th or Thursday the 22nd. I don't know if either of those dates work for you.
Were they gonna do the on-site review, Carly?
They did do a site visit. I haven't read through this at all. And they will have a representative here whenever we decide to have the meeting.
I don't know.
This is the peer review.
Suzanne, I just wanted to say that I think it's wrong that you went, after we had discussed everything on site here, like you went behind us, I think, and at the select board meeting and like undermined like everything that we had talked about at the previous meeting as far as who to hire. Like, I think that was wrong, you know, like why, I don't understand like the motivation to do that.
We talked about the-
You kind of discussed me that you did it, like I just don't think it was right. Like, we talked about a ton of stuff here, and then you just went right behind, like to the select board and just did the exact same opposite and pivoted everything to the way that you wanted. I just felt it was wrong.
It was to expedite the timeline. And nothing,
Why don't you guys run the show? That's what I don't get, like, why don't you guys, why does the select board just run the show from here out? Like, if you can do it quicker and better, you guys should just step in, just abolish the board, and you guys do it.
we're not trying to abolish the board.
No, you
We're
can't,
trying
I mean, I'm just saying, like, that's what you're doing, like, we set forth and we devote our time and stuff, and then you just come in here behind when nobody's there, and just do whatever you want. I just think that's wrong, like why? Like, I thought we all worked together, and the minute you get a chance to, like, just destroy everything that we worked for that night, you do, and I just thought that was wrong. I just wanna point that out.
I can appreciate your opinion.
I don't wanna fight about it, but I just think it's wrong. Like, it just undermines everything we did that night and we talked about. And you should just stood up and said, I'm gonna go behind your back as soon as this is over, and I'm gonna undermine everything you're gonna do, that you're doing. And it's just like, because that's what you did, you know?
You're entitled to your opinion, Derek.
Thank you. Okay.
So this is these 3 pages are their complete report.
That's what they sent me.
Okay, and it is stamped by I can't read his name, her name. Randall something, Dutton, maybe?
Randy Dutton is the engineer, so that's probably his stamp.
Okay. So part of their agreement to do this consulting was to attend our meeting?
Correct, they'll have a representative at the
Okay.
meeting.
Good. Good, well, we don't have to read this at the moment, right now. So when's our next regular meeting?
The next regular meeting is on the agenda with a special meeting on the 5th and then a regular meeting on the 12th.
Is the workshop currently with Max?
Yes.
Ordinance workshop, okay.
The planning board attorney is not available in March, which was why I was trying to propose something in February. And we do have an applicant for the March meeting already, so this might be better suited for a separate meeting because it will take time.
And when were you proposing?
My suggested dates were Tuesday the 20th or Thursday the 22nd.
Of this month?
Correct.
I don't think I can do either of those.
Would
That's vacation week.
Would the following Tuesday or Thursday, the 27th or the 29th work?
I don't think we'd be in, I think we'd be better to stick with the March meeting.
And the attorney
Can't.
can't make it that day, the March 12th?
Right, he said he's not available in March. So he may be able to remote in for that.
I guess we can see if he can remote in, right, for the March meeting.
Well, it would really be helpful, I think, if he was here.
Yeah.
I think we're gonna need him here.
So so the next choice would be, April then, right? And, I don't know.
So the 27th, the Tuesdays are the 20th and the 27th.
Right.
Right.
I was just suggesting Tuesdays because that's your normal day. If there's another day of the week that might work,
So you're not available on the 27th?
but of course you'll need
or the
all
20th
three to be there.
On the 20th day.
What week is school vacations?
I think it's March, or
The week of the
February.
19th.
Week of the 19th, so I won't be there, I won't be around that week.
Is that February, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay. So then maybe the 27th?
Yup.
So let's try for the 27th.
So
then?
February
Is that-
27th at 6.
Does that work
How
for
are
you?
you okay on
Yeah,
that?
I think that's gonna be okay. At 6, you said? Yeah, I should be out by then. All right.
Would you like to choose a secondary date just in case that doesn't work for the attorney? Seem pretty flexible, but is there another date that week that would potentially work as well?
I can't do Thursday.
I can do whatever that week, probably.
Okay,
I could maybe do the 28th. It's a Wednesday.
okay.
I need to check that though.
Yeah. Or Monday's also an option.
I don't know, phone, I don't know, I assume I'm unavailable.
Well, let's shoot for the 27th and then circle back if we need to.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
All right. We're trying for the 27th. Approval of minutes. Either of you have any?
I didn't look at them, I'll get them real quick. Yep, I'm good with it.
I move that we accept this, written.
Second.
So Danny and I,
All in favor?
who was the second?
I was.
Okay. All right, we'll go adjourn.